Welcome to the Explainer. So, what happens when a major political figure gives a direct command and the biggest tech companies in the world do the exact opposite? That's where we're digging into today.
All right, let's get right into it. The whole thing kicks off back in late July, early August. And it wasn't some vague suggestion. We're talking about a very direct order handed down to America's top tech firms. Yeah, and this was not just some off-the-cuff comment. No way. This was a clear command, part of that America First policy, and it was issued twice. The message couldn't have been clearer. Stop hiring in India. Period.
So you gotta wonder, right? With a command that direct, what are the big players? Meta, Apple, Amazon, Google. What do they actually do? Well, their response is probably not what you're thinking.
Hit the brakes? Nope. They slammed on the gas. They didn't just ignore the order, they did a complete 180 and kicked off one of the biggest hiring sprees in India we've seen in a long time.
And get this, the scale was just huge and it was immediate. In the year right after that command was issued, these companies brought on more than 30,000 new people in India. Think about that. That is a massive number, especially right after being told to stop hiring there completely. And just to put that into perspective for you, that's a 30% jump from the year before, which was around 22,000 hires. So they didn't just keep going, they actually sped up a lot. And we're not talking about a little bump here. This was the biggest hiring spike from these guys in India in 3 years. That tells you something, right? This wasn't an accident. It was a very deliberate, very strategic move. Okay, but the story gets even more interesting when you look past the raw numbers. Because it's not just about how many people they hired, it's about who they hired, and that changes everything.
For a long time, the game was pretty simple. Hire in India for low-cost labor, for the more routine, junior-level stuff. Well, that playbook has been completely thrown out the window. Now it is all about high-value talent. They're going after India's best for really critical mid-level and senior management roles.
And we're talking about the heart of their operations here. They're actively hunting for specialists in things like artificial intelligence, cloud computing, cybersecurity, product engineering. These are the jobs, the people that are literally building the future of their companies.
So it's not just about hiring people remotely. Not at all. It's about putting down roots. These companies are pouring huge amounts of money into physical buildings and infrastructure, which is the clearest signal you can get that they are in India for the long haul.
Just look at the headlines. You've got Microsoft leasing a massive space in Hyderabad, Apple signing a big office deal in Bengaluru, Meta opening a brand new tech center, Google launching a new facility. It's all happening in these major tech hubs. You can't get a clearer sign of commitment than building actual physical places.
So the big question is, why? Why this huge bet on India, especially now? Well, a massive piece of the puzzle is the Indian economy itself. It's been incredibly resilient, just thriving, even with all these external pressures and talk of tariffs.
And the numbers really back this up. Just look at the data from August. You've got new businesses popping up like crazy, a 37% increase from the year before. Manufacturing hit a 17-year high, and output is up over 7.5%. What you're seeing is a picture of a super dynamic, growing economy. And if you're a global company, there's just no way you can ignore that.
Okay, so let's bring it all together. What does it all mean when you have politics pointing in one direction and a tidal wave of corporate money and strategy flowing in the complete opposite direction?
When it comes right down to it, it's pretty simple. For these massive global companies, big decisions aren't made based on short-term political noise. They're driven by the fundamentals. Where's the talent? Where's the market growth? Where's the stability? And that long-term strategic thinking is pretty much always going to win out.
And that leaves us with a final question to chew on. In a world where corporate strategy and national politics seem to be drifting further apart, who is really in the driver's seat of the global economy? Someone to think about. Thanks for joining us.